Hi, welcome to The Key, where we unlock all that God has for you. I'm Jenn Lee and I'm your host, and today we're going to be talking about how it's time to just move. Today when I was preparing for this, I was thinking about how much of the world is feeling like they've been going through a time of shaking. God is shaking things and moving things. And that doesn't mean that the Lord sent this sickness among us, but that He can use it for His good, for His purposes. So He is shaking things and moving things right now, sometimes to make you uncomfortable. Now, why would He do that? He would do that if you are maybe in the wrong place. Or maybe you were in the right place, but it's the end of that season and it's time for you to move into the next thing that He has. A lot of the time, we get our sense of security in our jobs or whatever we've been doing, and we start to think, well, this is it for me, this is the place. And suddenly we kind of get into this place of complacency with the Lord where we just assume, I'm going to be doing this for the next 20 or 30 or 40 years, when maybe God is calling you there for a season, but now it's time to move into the next thing that He has. So many people, it feels like He's been shifting things and they're not sure what's happening. They're not sure if they can trust Him in this. Well, this is what He reminded me of. I don't know if you guys have ever read anything about eagles, but I have this book on eagles and I really felt like the Lord led me to read it. And it talked about how the mother eagle, as the babies get older and they're starting to approach the time in their life that they can go out on their own and fly, she starts taking away some of the soft things that the babies have been sleeping on in the nest. She starts taking them away and starts adding sticks and thorny things, uncomfortable things to make these babies eventually go, why am I here anymore? I think it's time to move. And finally those babies, they spread their wings and they fly. And so I just really felt like that was a word for you guys today, that God might be making you very uncomfortable, very unsettled where you're at right now, because that season of your life is over and it's time for you to fly. It's time for you to move forward. This means taking a risk and not going back, moving forward into what He has. Oh, I thank you for that, Lord. The scripture that He brought me to today is actually in Matthew. This is in chapter 4, and I'm going to read 18 to verse 22. And this is when He was first calling some of His disciples. It says, "And Jesus, walking by the Sea of Galilee, saw two brothers, Simon called Peter and Andrew his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishermen. Then He said to them, 'Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men.' And they immediately left their nets and followed Him. Going on from there, He saw two other brothers, James the son of Zebedee and John his brother, in the boat with Zebedee their father, mending their nets. He called them, and immediately, once again, they left the boat and their father and followed Him." So how many of us, and I am just as guilty of this as anyone else, how many of us have received a call from God and we didn't exactly act immediately, okay? So much of the time we have to think things over and we have to go and get other people's opinions about it, and we have to stay up a few nights and worry about it, and we have to plan and we wonder how that's going to work out, and we try to make it all make sense in our minds before we go and we take the leap. Well, here's what I'm learning. Okay, I'm in my 40s now, and I look back and I keep thinking, sometimes when we're in this process of following God, we can feel like things are moving slowly. In the day-to-day, sometimes we get impatient. We feel like, well, I kind of thought more would have happened by now. But what I've noticed is, as I look back, maybe 5 years or even 10 years, then I'm astonished at what God has done. I'm absolutely amazed. 20 years, you just go, I don't even recognize that person. It's totally amazing. So when it comes down to it, the things that we're going to regret most in our lives at the end are going to be the risks that we did not take. One time I was praying about this and I felt like, what God is calling me to do, oh, that's a risk. That's a risk. And he spoke to me, that's only a risk in your mind, Jen. It's only something that I perceive as a risk. And why do I say that? Because if it is God's plan, then that means he's already there. He's already gone ahead and made the provision for that. He's already handling it. He's already bringing in the right people. He's already going to bring in the finances for whatever it is that you need to do. But the thing is this is a walk of faith. That's why they call it faith. We're not going to know the end from the beginning. He's not going to explain it all to us. Okay, this is what we're called to do. So you won't even see how he's going to do it. You just need to take the first step. And you might feel clueless. Okay, I know that I did. I just felt like I don't even know where to start. Well, I prayed about it. He showed me where to start. And then he provided the people to come alongside me. He provided the wisdom. He provided the finances. So take that first step and then see him show up. And then after that, it's like, he's your father. You are the little child. You're going to hold his hand and you're going to take the next step together and he is going to supply what you need. Okay? Some of you, this is what I prayed about this morning, and I felt like he said, that some of you have felt stuck for a long time. You've had this dream inside of you, but you've been afraid to move towards it. Here's my advice. Pray about it, okay? Sometimes dreams are just a flittering thing, a fun idea that sounds fun, but it's not really of God. But when I say dream, I mean something that's been deep inside of you for a long time. Not everybody knows what they want to do by the time they're 5 or 6 years old. But oftentimes I find that you can go back to someone's childhood and you can say, what did you really want to be? What did you love when you were a kid? And a lot of the time, part of this calling that he's put on us, there's a connection back there in childhood. Okay, I used to sing on my front porch on the first farmhouse we lived on. And I would have the little brush, that had tinfoil around it, as my microphone. I would sing to all of my trees, and they were my audience. That was in me back when I was 4 and 5 and 6 years old. So, and I still love that to this day. So just pray with someone else about it. Find somebody in your life that you know already is a prayer and already hears from God, and have them join with you. You will receive wisdom. You'll receive revelation when you do this. Some of you have been thinking about making a change for years, 5 years, some even close to 10 years, but you haven't taken the plunge. Why not now? What are you waiting for? Okay, what are you waiting for? Here's what I've learned is if you just move towards it and ask him to guide you, he will shut it down if it's wrong. Okay, that's very comforting. I find out that most of us don't move nearly enough. Most of us just kind of stay in our comfort zone because, maybe that's kind of how our parents were or how we were taught, to be safe and to just, rely on these things that I can see and I can touch and I can feel, to be my security. But the truth is following God is the most exciting thing. So pray about it, okay? This might be the time. The reason why he's shaking things might be to move you out of your nest, okay? At the end of your life, your biggest regrets will probably be the risks that you didn't take. Remember, if God is in it, okay, if he placed the desire in your heart, then it really isn't a risk because he will be there to guide you every step of the way. All right. I would love to pray with you guys. Go ahead and send me a message if you would like to. You can comment on YouTube or Facebook or private message me. Check out my new website we're almost finished with. It's the keywithjenlee.com, and I will look forward to seeing you guys next week on The Key.